All right, what is good, everybody, and welcome back to the 2024 mock drafts. And this one is the Super Bowl week edition because the Sunday coming up, we have the Chiefs versus the 49ers. I wasn't expecting that to happen. I'm not going to lie. I really thought the Chiefs were not going to make it to the Super Bowl. But Travis Kelce just turned back into the player that he was. But here we are at the top of this draft after a couple hires. We did see Cliff Kingsbury get hired as a new offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. I could have sworn that Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator, so I was a bit confused about that. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below if he is the head coach now. I don't think that's the truth because Dan Quinn just got hired as a head coach. Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs and then left for more money. So, I don't know. Let me know if it was just like a one-year type of thing. But with Cliff Kingsbury getting signed by the Washington Commanders, I do have a certain situation that I could see happening. And that is the Bears possibly trading down with the Commanders. And they could get a first round pick next year. Even maybe the Washington Commanders can give up just a second round. But I'll do a first round and they trade up to the first spot. I know we're already starting off with the trade, but I'm not planning to keep this as a trend going forward in this draft. But with Cliff Kingsbury getting signed by them, Caleb Williams already congratulating him, and a lot of things going around that Caleb Williams doesn't want to go to Chicago. You don't want to have a player that doesn't want to be in your franchise. And it might be because of the Justin Fields situation. It might be just because he doesn't want to go to Chicago. It might be because of the franchise that is the Chicago Bears. But in this mock draft, we are going to be going with the Commanders trading up to the first spot, one spot, to get Caleb Williams, beating everybody else out, letting the Chicago Bears get what they need to at the next spot. And we're going to start the draft on that. With Caleb Williams going to... Oh, I didn't even do it. I'm going to force this trade. However it goes. And the Washington Commanders start off with the first overall pick. And they're going to be taking one of the most highly respected athletes, I would say, in terms of just being at the top of the draft. He hasn't moved from the top of the draft ever since he came into college, really. Everybody has always thought that he was going to be top 3. Now he's top 1 or top 2. Maybe Drake May gets taken before him. I could highly doubt that unless they see something with his character. They see something measured that they don't like. But I think he's going to measure well. I think he's going to do well in the different things. I don't even know if he's going to be doing the NFL Combine. But we'll see about that. And we're going to send him to Washington to play under Cliff Kingsbury, a coach that's already used to him, and a coach that can teach the head coach what to do, even though Dan Quinn's probably not going to be worried about the offense as much as he is going to be the defense of the Washington Commanders because they were dead last in the league for that. And the Chicago Bears are now on the clock, and I don't think that they'll go Drake May or a QB at this point. If they do end up trading down, I'm sure the package will be a lot better than what I did from the Commanders. I think that they would go Marvin Harrison at this spot and put him next to Justin Fields. Yes, they're going to have to deal with, after this year, they're probably going to have to pay Justin Fields. But I think he can break out a little more. I think he's a type of prospect that he's just going to keep getting better and better and better. Maybe not Caleb Williams level, but in this draft, we have the Bears trusting in Justin Fields and his chemistry with his players and the players that have trust behind him. And we're going to send Marvin Harrison there to help DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, that whole receiving core right there. Marvin Harrison being a highly touted prospect of since Calvin Johnson is what the media says. I'd say that he could possibly be almost like his own father in Marvin Harrison with the way that he runs routes, with the way that he catches the ball. He just is able to get whatever ball is thrown at him and figure it out. And now the Patriots on the clock, and they're celebrating right now in their draft room because Drake May just dropped to the third spot instead of them having to settle for Jaden Daniels. Now, it's not settling, but it's not the level that Drake May is in terms of potential and just being able to play right now with the team that they have. Now, I think they should go receiver for the rest of the draft or try to get a really good one at some point. Maybe even like a Roman Wilson in the second round. Seems like he did pretty well at the Pro Bowl. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I don't know why I said Pro Bowl. It's definitely Senior Bowl. I guess just because the Pro Bowl was yesterday when I'm recording this, and when you're probably gonna see it. But Drake May going to the Patriots. Hopefully they try to get Roman Wilson, like I said, or one of those wide receivers, even Lad McConey from Georgia. But yeah, Drake May going to New England, hopefully being the next QB of the future for the Patriots. They tried to do that with Mac Jones, and it just ended up not happening at all. And it seems like the team doesn't even like Mac Jones for the way that he showed up to Jared Mayo's press conference, and I guess he didn't communicate that with anybody. But now with the Cardinals on the board, and now with Malik Nabers here, which I know that I picked Rome Odunze. I was trying to go a different route in terms of taller, in terms of having more height on defensive backs and things like that. I will go with Malik Nabers. Now, I still don't feel like if they want... I mean, Malik Nabers is going to get the ball. Malik Nabers is going to route run the hell out of somebody. And I did not remember that Marquise Brown was a free agent this year, so it makes a lot more sense now for it to be Malik Nabers, because I thought that it would like clash a lot with that. But I'm gonna have him going to the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, he's right there with Marvin Harrison, but there's tiers in terms of Marvin Harrison being like a perennial like top 3 draft pick, and then Malik Nabers, who's really, really good, but he's just not at Marvin Harrison's level in my opinion. And then basically all the other top wide receiver prospects like Rome Odunze and things like that. I did not pick Rome Odunze thinking that Malik Nabers is better, or Rome Odunze is better than Malik Nabers. I did it in terms of fit, and I did it in terms of what I thought that they would do if Marquise Brown stayed. But Malik Nabers is going to be going to Arizona. And now the Chargers are on the board, who I had trading up in the last draft to get Marvin Harrison, and I think that could be a possibility still. I think it's one of the many possibilities that could happen. But now they're on the board with basically Rome Odunze, Brock Bowers. They could go... No, there's no point of that. They could go Cooper DeJean, who you can move to safety, and really a lot of people think that he should play safety. I don't know about that in terms of the Chargers fit right now. I think I would have them taking somebody like Brock Bowers to be a reliable player for him. And with Jim Harbaugh being in now, I think he would want to have another young player to put next to Justin Herbert that can help him out right now. Now, I don't think that's going to be Rome Odunze. I mean, Brock Bowers has such a wide range of where he can get picked. He could get picked anywhere from the 5th spot right here all the way down to like 15. I don't think he can drop to the Bengals as much as they probably want him to. It's just like last year's draft that they probably wanted a tight end to drop to them that they liked, and it just didn't end up happening. But I am going to go Brock Bowers. They still have Mike Williams. They still have Keenan Allen. I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to make such drastic changes right now in terms of Mike Williams and things like that. But I'm going to have Brock Bowers going to Los Angeles. I don't know if I said San Diego before, but Los Angeles to play with Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen, who is aging. And hopefully in the next draft, they can find out if they can get a top wide receiver prospect. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were this year, though, in terms of that record. Brock Bowers, I mean, he's not even just a tight end. He can be a receiver, and he basically can be like a Travis Kelce to Justin Herbert's Patrick Mahomes. And that's just my opinion with the way that I've watched Brock Bowers and what I think could possibly happen. And yeah, he could go top 5. He could go top 5 or he could go top 15. It's such a wide range, but I don't think anybody can really be mad at Brock Bowers being taken at the 5th spot. But with that being said, the New York Giants are on the clock, and they have QB, wide receiver, offensive line. And here is where Rome Odunze would be going, because I don't think that they'll go QB. They could go Jaden Daniels. They definitely could, and I might actually switch to that. Unless the Falcons panic and want to trade up. Because I think they could still get somebody that they like in terms of the Giants. I don't know if the Falcons trade up, though. But I think they really need to try to get a quarterback. I mean, the Giants could also go Joe Alt, because I don't think they go Jaden Daniels just yet. Because Danny Dimes, but Daniel Jones just got signed to his contract. I know that a lot of fans just want them to move on from him and figure out the cap situation with that. Rome Odunze, you would finally be getting a top wide receiver, or a good wide receiver, one to be putting next to Daniel Jones instead of it being Darius Slayton or Jalen Hyatt, who is really just a speedy threat right now. Or you can get Joe O, which would fill in the situation of Evan Neal not playing well. Joe O is just everything you want in a tackle. I think they go Rome Odunze. I know that I said Jaden Daniels, but I'm going to go Rome Odunze here, thinking that they're going to try to give Daniel Jones another shot and basically just help him out in terms of getting a top wide receiver prospect or receiving prospect in general. With Rome Odunze, I mean, he can find the ball wherever it is, and he can get the ball wherever it is. And he's going to go to the Giants. Hopefully, Daniel Jones doesn't throw it too far off, so he doesn't have too hard of a time there. But the Titans are now on the board, and this is where I'll have Joe Alt going. Just adding to that O-line as much as possible. Will Levis needs protection up front. They have their times that they're good, and they have their times that they're dog shit. And they have to figure that out. They have to, and I think Joe Alt's going to help figure that out. I mean, both with his passing grade and his run block grade, you can't get much better than this right here. I mean, the issue with Olu Fashanu is his run blocking, and if you're going to be going to Tyjae Spears now, you need to have run blocking so he can get more and more better. So then whenever you don't have run blocking, he can figure it out. But Olu Fashanu, like you can see, just not a great run blocking grade. I know that they said that he performed a little better in the Senior Bowl. But I still think that he's going to drop a little bit. A lot of people had him going top 5, top 3. I mean, even I did, going to the Patriots. But not today. Joe Alt going to the Tennessee Titans, adding to that O-line even more, adding to the future of that O-line. And now the Falcons are on the board, and Jaden Daniels is sitting here. But we can also look at the other things like Cooper DeJean and Nate Wiggins and Dallas Turner. Terrion Arnold as well. I have him as like basically my top 2, top 3 cornerbacks in the draft. I mean, he's just tremendous in general. I think they do go QB. If Jaden Daniels is dropping down to the A spot, I think they definitely pull the trigger on that, because Jaden Daniels has a lot of potential, and he's already pretty good as is. Now, not as good, like I said before, not as good as these guys, but he could also go top 3 with them. He's more of a work in progress, just like Anthony Richardson. Has experience, and just won the Heisman. But I think that they could figure it out with Jaden Daniels there. Also with Arthur Smith out the door, thank God. You got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You got a lot of weapons on that offense that Jaden Daniels could definitely use very well, because he used to have Malik Neighbors to rely on, and now he has Kyle Pitts, who hopefully is going to start having a breakout type of career, because I'm not even blaming it on him that he kind of sucks right now. I'm blaming it on Arthur Smith. But Jaden Daniels going to the Atlanta Falcons, helping out that offense, basically putting the final piece in, hopefully, with just, I mean, the offensive line is solid. They don't really need to worry about that a whole lot. Bijan Robinson is tremendous. He just needs the ball a little more than what he got. But now at the 9th spot, we have the Chicago Bears on the board, who could take somebody like Cooper DeJean, who could take Terrion Arnold, Dallas Turner. They need defensive line. I don't think they're going to go offensive line. They're pretty solid there. And Olu is just going to keep dropping, which is unfortunate for him. But I might go Cooper DeJean just because he can switch between safety and cornerback. And they might move on from, I think it was Eddie Jackson. Yeah, they might move on from Eddie Jackson in terms of saving cap to try to get somebody in free agency. I think they'll try to get like a T. Higgins if necessary. If Marvin Harrison isn't there. If they get T. Higgins in free agency, then I think they'll go Caleb Williams. But they would really have to figure out the cap situation for that because T. Higgins is going to want a lot of money. And you're going to have to cough it up. But Cooper DeJean, I have going to the Chicago Bears. I mean, he's tremendous in terms of run, defense, and coverage. I think he can be tremendous. I think him and Terrion Arnold are definitely going to be fighting for the top spot in this draft class and who's going to be taken first. Terrion Arnold's a bit better in terms of the run defense and covering and things like that. But I think they'll go a different route with Cooper DeJean being able to be a Swiss Army knife in a way and put him at safety or put him at cornerback. You can really put him anywhere and he'll be a really great player. Going to Chicago. And the New York Jets are now on the clock with wide receiver, tackle, and defensive interior. I think Olu Fashanu is going to go here. Mekhi Becton is probably on his way out. And you got to figure out that tackle position as soon as possible if Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back. You don't want the same situation as last year with his Achilles. And hopefully he doesn't have it again. I mean, it's really MetLife that has that issue. But Olu Fashanu, I think he can improve his run blocking. With Breece Hall, you don't necessarily need to worry about it. He's a tremendous running back. But you do need to have better run blocking as a tackle if you're going to be in there with players like Aaron Rodgers, with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. But his pass blocking is really good. Really good. And that's where you really need to protect Aaron Rodgers. And he's going to go to New York and fill in that offensive line, whether it's where Mekhi Becton is or the other side of Mekhi Becton. I don't think Mekhi Becton is going to be there much longer. Or for a good reason, because I don't think he played that good this year. Minnesota Vikings, QB, running back, guard, center, defensive line, linebacker, defensive back. I mean, there's really nothing that you can do wrong here. I don't think... I'm not going to go Fuaga. I'm not going to go Fuaga right now. I don't think I will because there's really no point. I still think that a team is going to get Fuaga and try to move him inside to guard, which I think he'll still be good at. QB and running back is not an option. Guard, center is Fuaga in this situation, or we can go Dallas Turner, who's really the best edge in this draft class. Jared Verse is good, but Dallas Turner is more well-rounded right now. Defensive back as well, you can go Terrion Arnold. I'm not sure. I don't really remember what I got the last time in terms of the Minnesota Vikings. I think I did pick Fuaga, and people got tight because it was a tackle getting taken when their tackles are great. So I'll go a different route here. I'm going to go the route of them getting rid of Danielle Hunter or letting Danielle Hunter go. And Dallas Turner is going to fill in that spot right there to the Minnesota Vikings. And the Denver Broncos are now on the board, who could possibly go with a quarterback. And that might be a stretch here in terms of them taking it at this spot specifically. But I don't imagine that Jared Stidham is going to be their QB of the future. And I don't think there's a lot of QBs in the free agency class that is going to do any good for them right now. So with that, you could also go a player like Terrion Arnold, who can play well beside PS3. I just don't know what to do with the QB situation. I really don't think that a good QB is going to drop to the second round where they're at. Maybe J.J. McCarthy will. I think there might be a surprise at this pick, like a Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy. Michael Penix, probably not. I might go Jared Verse or Terrion Arnold at this spot. I mean, Bo Nix is there, Bo Nix is definitely there. There's just not a lot of teams down here that need a quarterback or are going to take a quarterback. Like the Rams will probably, and the Saints and the Raiders. So there might be a back-to-back-to-back situation with that. Oh, it's difficult for me not to go Bo Nix here. Because he has the experience of just being able to play high-level football. Sean Payton probably wants to get a new QB. In terms of like a newer one, he already is getting rid of Russell Wilson. And if he's getting rid of Russell Wilson, I could imagine him reaching a little bit on a player like Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Bo Nix for right now. Might be a stretch again, but he's a tremendous quarterback. I mean, he has a little bit of age on him. But he can throw the ball. He can definitely throw the ball. He has some really good games, but maybe not against top talent. I mean, he didn't really show up against Utah or USC as much as he did against Cal, Arizona State, and Oklahoma State. I think that is. But Bo Nix is definitely difficult not to take for them right now. I could imagine Sean Payton reaching on a quarterback if he really needed to. If he wasn't able to get one in free agency. This is what I'm assuming. That nothing in free agency happened for the better of the Broncos. And they have to figure out what to do with their future. And it just might be QB. Bo Nix. Fuck, man. I just really can imagine Terrion Arnold going to the Broncos. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going QB. I'll go Terrion Arnold here. Basically, my top cornerback in the draft class. He can defend both the run and pass. And he's more of the athlete type. And I think a lot of teams are going to like that, especially the Broncos. Terrion Arnold going to Denver. The Raiders are now on the clock. QB, offensive line, defensive interior. Fuaga's dropping a lot compared to my previous draft classes, and he might drop to even like Seattle or the Jaguars. But the Raiders, who have been in a desperate position to get a new quarterback, this is where I do have either Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy going. I'm going to go Bo Nix for this one. Bo Nix can fill in just fine. Toss that ball to Devontae Adams. Figure it out with Josh Jacobs. I don't know if they're keeping him. It doesn't seem like it. But Bo Nix going to the Raiders. And the Saints are now on the clock, also needing a quarterback in some way. But I don't think they're going to reach here if Bo Nix is already taken. And then they look at the defensive line. They could get Jared Verse, who could slowly take over the role of Cameron Jordan on the outside there. And I'm going to go with that. Jared Verse, basically right there with Dallas Turner. Just going to help that Saints defense a lot. He's not going far to New Orleans. You just have to drive a little bit up. But the Colts, with wide receiver, offensive line, defensive interior, and defensive back, I don't think that they're going to keep Michael Pittman. I think another team is going to try to swoop him from under them. I really don't think they need Fuaga. I don't. Jer'Zhan Newton would be pretty good for them because they do need a defensive tackle to play next to DeForest Buckner, and I think he can learn a lot from DeForest Buckner. And that's the route that I'm going to go. Newton going to the Indianapolis Colts, just keep adding to that defense that played very well this past season, better than what they were expected to do. And this is a spot where I'm going to have Fuaga going to the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think they'll go edge or any of that. I think they're going to go, if Fuaga's still here, they're going to go with him and move him to guard. McDonald just got hired to be the head coach, a young defensive-minded coach, basically restarting the way that they've been playing the past 20 years. Yeah, I mean, Latu is there. I just don't think that they'll take that over Fuaga. Fuaga's a very, very good offensive lineman. He doesn't have as quick as of a reaction off the ball in terms of being a tackle that he needs to. So that's why I'm always saying that you need to move him to guard, and he'll be tremendous. I think he'll be great at that position. like how we all thought for Peter Skoronski last year. And now the Jaguars are here, needing defensive back, edge, guard, or center. I think this is where I'm going to have Nate Wiggins going. And then after this, it's going to be pretty difficult to choose a cornerback to go anywhere. I like how Quinyon Mitchell is going up in the rankings whenever he was like 65th the first time I did this. But Nate Wiggins, a pretty good cornerback, just a really good cornerback in passing. And I think that's what the Jaguars need so they don't get burnt all the time. Could go Latu as well. But I'm going to go with the cornerback room since they do have a new defensive coordinator. And the Bengals having tight end, tackle, and defensive interior. That is tough because there's not a lot that could help them right now at this moment. I think they even need cornerback. And I wouldn't be mad at Kool-Aid McKinstry going there. But I also like Rackstraw and Kamari Lassiter for the Bengals. Maybe not Quinyon Mitchell. He's a bit on the smaller side, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's 6 foot. He's okay. But I don't know who I'm confusing him with. Kamari Lassiter, also good size, good in coverage. He's more of the ball hawk compared to a Tyrion Arnold, who just tries to defend as good as he can with his athleticism, if I can speak English. Defensive interior, tackle. Well, J.C. Latham is here. I honestly didn't see him. I'm going to go J.C. Latham. He's a great tackle. He's not like an Amarius Mims that he's like hit or miss prospect. He's going to be a good tackle. It's just how much better can he get? Because he was good at Alabama, but we'll see what happens with him on the Bengals. I think they just need to find that carousel stop with the tackles and figure it out. And with the Rams on the board, another team that's difficult because, I mean, you could go QB. What are you going to do with Matt Stafford going forward? Like, how much longer are you going to hope that he's going to be good is my question in terms of Tashawn McVay. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with that. They might even go Latu to fill him in right now. They might think that they can make a push right now, and they'll go with a ready now player, ready now defensive player. They do have one more year under Aaron Donald's contract, so they might really try to push. And I think the offense has figured it out. It's just the defense and the offensive line. They might make a move in free agency for an offensive line. They could also go with like a Jordan Mason or Jordan Morgan or Amarius Mims. It's too much of a hit or miss there. Yeah, Latu going to the Rams, playing alongside Aaron Donald. I think he's going to be pretty good. He's not going to be going far after going to UCLA. He did medically retire, but we're going to see if he stays healthy. I mean, Jalen Phillips medically retired. He's been playing well, but he gets injured a lot on the Dolphins. I mean, he gets season-ending injuries almost every year, and it's sad, but it's just reality at that point. The Steelers, I still have the Steelers taking somebody like Quinyon Mitchell, just like somebody out of complete left field that nobody would expect, instead of like a Kool-Aid McKinstry who's at the top of this. I could see Kool-Aid dropping a lot, not because he's not good, but because of his ceiling, which we kind of have already seen. But I'm not too crazy about... I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry with this one. I think he's a great cornerback. He was supposed to be top 5 projected in this draft class, but ended up not performing that well. Alabama, Tyrion Arnold really showed out over him, to be honest with you. But Kool-Aid McKinstry could go to the Steelers and figure it out since Mike Tomlin is most likely staying there. He likes to get his cornerbacks and add to that cornerback room as much as possible. They probably wanted Cooper DeJean to drop so they can have a sort of replacement at safety if they needed it to. But we'll go Kool-Aid McKinstry, putting him beside Joey Porter. And the Miami Dolphins are now on the board with tight end and offensive line as a need. And I don't think they'll go Amarius Mims. I still feel confident that Jordan Morgan is going to be one of their picks here. Amarius Mims, I just think is too much of a risk. As much as he has insane size, I think Jordan Morgan's a bit more proven in that department because they need a run blocker, they need a pass blocker. Jordan Morgan is a lot better graded on both of those, and I had him almost in my top 5. I mean, Amarius Mims was in my top 5. I just think that he's in my top 5 more for what he can be instead of what he is right now. And Jordan Morgan right now is a pretty good tackle and could have been higher drafted at some point if he didn't have injuries. Yeah, I just don't see them going with Amarius Mims and risking the if factor because they don't have time for that with Tyreek Hill's contract. Jordan Morgan going to the Miami Dolphins, as I've had him going before. The Philadelphia Eagles, wide receiver, linebacker, and defensive back. Brian Thomas Jr. is here. I think that they would need center. I mean, Jackson Powers Johnson is here, who jumped up the draft boards, really. I didn't see him coming. Jason Kelsey's probably about to leave. I mean, they do have a backup already, so maybe not. Rackstraw wouldn't be bad for them. I kind of like Kamari Lassiter better for the Philadelphia Eagles just because he can be a ball hawk and he's a good cornerback in terms of just knowing where the ball's going in general. And I think they need that. Okay, I convinced myself. Kamari Lassiter, that cornerback room got smoked with James Bradbury basically getting exposed the whole season. I don't think they go wide receiver at this spot. I have Kamari Lassiter going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Surprising a lot of people because there was some other cornerbacks higher than him. But I like that for the Philadelphia Eagles. Houston Texans, wide receiver, tight end, defensive line, and linebacker. Braylon Trice is here, and I think that would help them a lot. I can't really see any other situation that could be, like, better. Because Brian Thomas Jr. is a great wide receiver. I could even see them going, probably in the next round, with a Brendan Rice or Roman Wilson, like I was saying for the Patriots. Patriots might take Roman Wilson over Brendan Rice, the son of Jerry Rice. I think they go defense, though. It depends on if they re-sign Grenard. That's also a key factor here. But there's really not a lot of linebackers in this draft class. I haven't seen any in the slightest. I mean, some players can't play linebacker, but Braylon Trice, being on the other side of Will Anderson, I think that's going to be a good young duo there. And that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with DeMeco Ryans, focusing on the defense there in the first round. The Dallas Cowboys now on the clock with Byron Murphy the second here. They could also go Quinyon Mitchell. Center, that's also something that they could go with. That might be what I go with. I'm pretty sure their center right now, I mean, it just doesn't compare to like a Zach Martin or Tyron Smith, but I hope I got that name right. I'm blanking right now on a lot of names, but cornerback, linebacker, defensive interior, I just don't see them drafting running back right now at all. As much as Blake Corum is in this draft class, I just don't see it. Wow, they don't even have him going over these guys right here. I thought he was a tremendous running back. Jackson Powers Johnson, I think they would try to focus on offensive line. They haven't really hit on any draft picks in terms of cornerback, linebacker, defensive interior. I mean, they've tried the past couple years. We'll just go with the safe route. Jackson Powers Johnson, we'll go with the safe route for the Dallas Cowboys. And the Green Bay Packers, I still feel like Amarius Mims is going to be taken by the Green Bay Packers. And I know a lot of Green Bay fans don't like that. I know they don't. But what else are you going to go with here? Byron Murphy over Amarius Mims, who could be a very good tackle. I mean, even Tyler Guyton or Troy Fautanu. But I like the potential of Amarius Mims. Yeah, I'm still going to go with Amarius Mims going to Green Bay. I'm sorry. And it's at the 25th spot. Yeah, I just like that a lot better. And with the Tampa Bay Bucks on the board, as much as it says that they basically need everything of significance right now, I do see them going with Baker Mayfield for their quarterback for the next couple of years, up until that train dies off. Cornerback, linebacker, edge. Braylon Trice just got taken about 2 picks before. Chris Baswell could also be good. There's not a lot of like stand out picks here. I mean, Rackstraw. Rackstraw could be very good for them. I'm going to go with Rackstraw. Yeah, I think they do need people more for the run defense. I mean, he's going to be good in pass coverage too, but their run defense was like not that good. Unless the team was going right down the middle, you were getting hit by Vita Vea. But Ennis Rackstraw can figure it out on the outside of that, helping out that Tampa Bay Bucks defense. And the Arizona Cardinals is here once again after trading with the Houston Texans last year. And wide receiver is an option again, but Malik Neighbors was already taken. So I have them going with defense. Quinyon Mitchell is a great option. I think I'm going to stop the trend of him dropping as much now. I like Quinyon Mitchell a lot. It's just he went to Toledo. But he's really good. He is really good from what I've seen. Yeah, Quinyon Mitchell going to the Arizona Cardinals. I think he's going to fill in just fine on that team. The Buffalo Bills, I do have taking a wide receiver, and since Brian Thomas is here, he has good size. I think that'll help him a lot, and they won't have to pay him for a while. And I think that's really the only route they go. I know that they say a bunch of other stuff here for defensive interior and things like that. I just don't think that's as much of a need as wide receiver after Gabe Davis leaves, and probably Stephon Diggs getting traded for something. They could even trade up in the draft class, to be honest with you. That might be what I do in the next mock draft. But Brian Thomas going to the Buffalo Bills, trying to help him out right now. I think that he's going to be good. Detroit Lions, defensive interior, cornerback, guard, or center. Can't go guard or center. Defensive interior and cornerback. Do I like another cornerback that's up here right now? TJ Tampa's good. I think that's really the last good prospect here. I didn't see him going in the first round. I didn't. Byron Murphy might be the one that we go with. Yeah, pass rushing is good. I have seen a little bit about Byron Murphy. I need to get more into it with him and like the later draft prospects. I know a good bit about some of these guys, but players like Byron Murphy, I haven't really watched too much. But seems like he's pretty good out of Texas, helping that defensive interior of the Detroit Lions. I think it's a bit on the older side right now with McNeil. Yeah, we're going to go with defensive interior on that. Baltimore Ravens, cornerback, defensive line, and wide receiver. Troy Franklin. I don't think they go wide receiver. They just picked Zay Flowers last year. Troy Franklin's a bit of a taller prospect. I mean, it could be a possibility. I don't see them going cornerback. I really had them going defensive line for a while, and Chris Baswell is a great option here. Yeah, that might be what they go with. Chris Baswell might be what they go with in general right now. I mean, with that defensive line really just being, half of it being veterans, they got to figure it out there in terms of making it younger. Yeah, we're going to go Chris Baswell. Best edge on the board right now. Best defensive lineman on the board right now. Can't really go wrong with it at the moment. Kansas City Chiefs looking for wide receiver or defensive line. Troy Franklin could go there. Even Keon Coleman. Ladd McConkey is the guy that I was talking about. I mean, he jumped up, first of all. But I don't know. I feel like, well, they do have Marvis Scantly. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the heights here. I like Troy Franklin. I do like Troy Franklin. I think I'm going to go with Troy Franklin. I mean, he might have been fed a lot by Bo Nix, and that's why his stats are so good. But they might need, like, that wide receiver one feel. And, I mean, Keon Coleman was that. Ladd McConkey, maybe not as much. But Troy Franklin is probably the best wide receiver on the board right now. And usually I had Keon Coleman going to the Buffalo Bills, but I wanted to switch it up with defense. Troy Franklin trying to help out Patrick Mahomes as much as possible because they have Rashee Rice, who is like 6 foot. Troy Franklin 6'3". I think he can be the physical type. And the San Francisco 49ers are the last pick in the draft class. Tyler Guyton is there. Troy Fautanu is here. I like Troy Fautanu, to be honest with you, better. That might just be what I go with, so he can learn under Trent Williams. Yeah, we're going to go with that. As much as cornerback might be a need for them, I just think that they should go with that in free agency. It's a bit too much of a hit or miss with cornerbacks, and they should worry about Trent Williams' age right now and where he's getting at. Troy Fautanu could fill in and learn from him as much as possible. But that is my 2024 mock draft Super Bowl week. Bit different than usual. Caleb Williams still went first, but Marvin Harrison went second. Drake May going third. Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers. After that, it kind of got a little obvious of where everything was going to go. Bo Nix went to the Raiders. Could happen, either him or J.J. McCarthy, with how Jim Harbaugh is hyping him up. I like it. I like this draft class. I mean, if I put it next to my other ones, it may not be the exact same or as confident as what I would be in terms of what would happen. I try to draft these with thinking about what I think would happen, if that makes sense. And this could definitely be a possibility. But if you did enjoy that, please go down there and like so more people can see it. If you have any opinions about it, let me know down in the comments below. I would be more than happy to respond to y'all. I love talking to y'all, even if you completely disagree with me or you get tight about who I picked for your team. It's a mock draft. I pick whoever I think your team would pick with their habits, with what they need, and things like that. Doesn't always go how it goes. But to not miss out on any future mock drafts, because once we get after the Super Bowl, this might be a every week thing with how news changes every week for the mock draft. Subscribe so you don't miss out on the rest of that, and we can talk more about what we can do in terms of the mock draft and what we can do maybe even in Madden, but more specifically with mock drafts and the prospects. And if you guys want me to talk about specific prospects, I can do a film breakdown if you want to. Just let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.